Welcome to Canvas Projects, a virtual program offering from the Pflugerville Public Library. I'm Meg Miller, an Adult Services Librarian, here with another fun project geared to ages 12 and up for you to complete. Those who registered through the library calendar can pick up their material supply kits, and for everyone else watching, we hope you give these techniques a try. This month's project is a galaxy canvas. Let's start with a look at the supplies being provided. So in our bags, we have our 6x6 circle canvas. They are wrapped in plastic. You are getting what equates to 2 art sponges. They are already cut in half. So you have 4 halves. Everybody got the 3 craft sticks to help us get paint out of our paint pots. And then while it wasn't on the listing, I did ultimately put in a small flat paintbrush for the very first step of our project. And then we have our 6 color paint pot strip. First you are getting a black. This is a galaxy. So we have our black base. And then we have deep blue. This is a shuttle art set. I believe we probably picked off of Amazon. And then a purple. The magenta, all from the same set. And then, because I love a little kind of metallic sparkle, you are getting the Color Shift Purple Flash. And finally, we have just an apple barrel white acrylic craft paint. So those are the paint colors that we have for this project. So really, if you feel the need, you can cover your workspace to protect it from paint. You can get an apron for yourself to protect your clothes from paint. Other than that, because of this, you'll ultimately wash the brush, but I'm only really planning to use the brush with one color, so I'm not going to have water to wash my brush. I am going to grab some paper towels and a little cup of some nature. So these are a circle canvas, and once I get that first coat of paint down, I want to let it dry. So I want to have something just to set it up on. So that's why I have this little paper cup here. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the plastic from my canvas. And that first color I'm going to use is that black. And that's why I included the craft stick. The paint brush. If you've got a larger paintbrush from a previous project with us or just have one, that would probably be a little bit quicker to coat this canvas in paint. But if you are just working with, maybe picked up the supply kit and you just have the supplies we've provided, we do want to make sure that you're able to complete this with what you get in the kit. So I am just going to paint this canvas a full black. Now I will say that your first coating, very likely you'll have, when it dries, it'll look a little more gray, and you may not be able to see it in the video. There'll be some of the white of the canvas that still kind of shows through. So as with this project being a virtual program, you're able to complete this at your leisure. So definitely take the time, paint the canvas completely black, let it dry. Really, I mean, if you want to try and do this in one sitting, 20 minutes maybe, depending on how thick of a coating of black paint you use for this first coat. It'll be dry enough to add that second coat, and then you'll go ahead and get the good coverage that you want for the next step of this particular project. So, and I'm just using long strokes with the paintbrush, kind of keeping that flat so I'm getting good coverage. I can come back the other direction, go in the opposite direction, so I'm not getting, hopefully, any lines of the paint as I paint through. You can almost see there's some like striations in the paint, and maybe my second coat I would come across with the second direction just to get that good coverage. So we do that, and then yes, ultimately I will wash my paintbrush, but for now I'm just going to set it aside because through the magic of preparation, I have a canvas here that I have already dried. I have painted the size, and this is 2 coats, so you should see it's got a pretty solid black coating to it. I'm just going to set this up on the cup over there to dry off. So for this next step, I'm going to go ahead and open my other paint pots gently so I don't get a bunch of paint on my hands. Now I do expect 100% to get paint on my hands, so that is just kind of how I particularly operate. Okay, so we have 3 paint craft sticks that we're going to use to help us put paint on our canvas. Let me get our orientation a little bit better here in the video. So I do still want a good amount of black to be visible. So when I'm laying down my paint with this craft stick, I'm going to stay a little ways away from the edges. Maybe one spot I'll get kind of close to the edge. But I'm going to plan to leave some space there. Now this is that deep blue. Thinking about this, I could have also, as I painted with the black, added a little bit of that blue to it earlier on in the process, and kind of given that black background a slightly different shade. So I've got some paint here. Really what we're doing, our final galaxy, we've got kind of this spiral to it. So with this one, I did get a little bit overboard. I think I would have wanted to leave more black space, so that's going to be my attempt with this one. So I'm going to take one of my sponges, set my craft stick aside, and I'm going to use any edge, several edges, and I'm just going to dab along this paint to get it spread out in kind of that wispy cloud of gas in the cosmos kind of way. I don't really want those edges to be smooth. Here in this area, I'm giving it's almost even bubbles a little bit as my plotting here puts air into that paint. So I'm gonna kind of do that around here with that blue, bring that along. So now this is my sponge for the blue, so I'm gonna set that aside. Come back to my craft stick. I'm going to get some of another color. For part I'm going to come up around, but I'm also going to, lost a little there. So I could be kind of using the craft stick to wipe on, but I am trying to get a little bit more on top, so I'm like dabbing and I'm able to stay in a little bit of that line. I want some purple up here. Alright, so now I can set that craft stick aside. I could grab another sponge, or I've got this sponge where I've only used half of one side, and this already has the blue on it. So as I come in here with this purple, and ultimately I do want kind of my center point there that I'm going to have a good amount of white on. So here I'm just blending those darker colors, that purple, bring that around a little bit. And now I can take where there's just a little purple on this sponge and bring it into areas, and now I can bring that blue side and do the same for some of these purplier areas. And we're going to continue that with our other colors. Because this is a fairly small canvas, we really don't need a ton of paint. You'll notice these are like, I think, the smaller size of the paint pots that we generally send. Because really you're not going to need that much paint for this particular project. I want these pops of pinks in here. Also, as with many of our projects, give it some time to set, come back. I'm going to grab a different sponge for our pink here. And once the one layer has dried, come back with one of those other colors and kind of, for this particular one, dab at it again, where you're just going to come in, add some pops, maybe even these sponges. You have the plastic bag. The paint will ultimately dry on the sponge, I'm sure, whether you clean it. But you could come back, and if it's in the bag, it may still be pretty damp after a little while. after that first layer of paint dries, and add a few more dabs with the sponge that has that color on it, and just to get a little bit more pop in there. Oh wow, that really is spiraling down, and we've still got 2 colors to go for this guy. I've kind of left this whole to me left side of the canvas pretty untouched at this point. I do actually want to come back and add some blue. Another way we could do this, you could, I mean, you've got the craft sticks, you've got the paintbrush, you've probably got other paintbrushes, but I could just go directly into my paint with my sponge. I did include the craft sticks because these are the smaller paint pots, and so getting a good kind of coverage on that end is not as easy as one might hope. So then I can just come in straight with the sponge back over these areas that I've come across before and add some of that metallic color shift to this. Just little bits at a time. I don't even need a ton. All right, and then for our final color, I'm going to come in with the white. Now this is a fairly thick white acrylic paint, so you won't really be able to do like the splatter effect almost, where you like hit it, you get really big globs there. I mean, you could definitely do that, and then that will give you a very almost organic placement for your white paint as you kind of dab it in, but we definitely want a bunch here in the middle. That's going to be into the center of our galaxy there. Some far off light. All right, that's a good place to start. I've got this completely unused sponge, but I do still have the other half of 2. So actually I'm going to start in with one of these where it's already been used on the one side. Now this white is going to want to overtake, as I said, it's a little bit thicker. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep moving my way around this paint and adding that dimension to my galaxy. Coming through. All right, for this center, I do want it to have that texture of the sponge, so I will definitely dab at it. I'm trying to use a little bit more of the side of the sponge than, say, the surface, because I do kind of want to keep it a little smaller. Oh, nice. I'm going to leave a couple areas where I don't have that white, and this may even feel like a little too much to me right at this point of the white paint. Not a problem. I've got those other colors in there. I'm going to come back. Yeah, let's go all the way back to this blue. This deeper, darker. I can also even, I likely won't use all of that black to cover. So come back, bring some of that black back in if you feel like there's a little bit too much of the white. Just that dabbing gives us, as I said, that kind of vapor cloud effect as we come across. And we love those purples in there and all that kind of good jazz. All right. As I can see that this video is starting to get up there in time, thank you all for watching as always. And as always, we would love to see your completed canvas projects, and we look forward to next month. Thanks for watching.